All right. So it's your boy Toke Media.
It's your boy Charlotte Exotic Spider-Man. We back with another one. What episode is this?
Oh shit. This is 4.
Yeah, episode 4.
I think.
Yeah, episode 4.
All right. Cool. Yep.
Yeah, episode 4, man. We're gonna get back into some photography related things. Definitely what y'all are here for. We're gonna talk about the importance of composition. Composition can truly, as we see, make or break your photos.
Yeah, absolutely. Composition is like it really pertains to like your style of shooting. Not everybody see things the same way.
Right.
So yeah, composition is really important.
It's positioning.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, just me, it's no right or wrong way to do composition, because it's really up to the photographer and what it is that he wants to capture.
Yeah,
In person.
yeah. I'll piggyback off of that. It like you said, there honestly is no right or wrong way, to compose a shot. It just really depends on the subject that you're shooting and how you trying to capture that shot, and just ultimately how you trying to portray that photo. That goes into something that's it is important, and I would look it up too. It's called rule of thirds. With a photo, that's like a cardinal law when it comes to photography, is a rule of thirds and how you compose a shot. But as you see a lot of the great photographers generally break that rule, because again, there's no proper way to compose a photo, but you can tell when a photo is badly composed. We just just want to teach you about composition. I'll start with my first point, which is framing your subject.
Okay.
How do you want this photo to look on whatever platform you present it on?
Right.
Whether if it's Facebook, Instagram, website, or any other social platform. If it's going to be a print, a picture that you're going to hang on the wall, whatever it is, how do you want to compose this shot where when you look at it, or if somebody else looks at it, they like, man, that's a nice shot.
Right.
And it really starts with how you position yourself between you and that subject and how you put them in that frame.
Yeah. And just to piggyback off of that, as far as like subject, I would say with me, when I'm looking at my subject and I'm about to go and take a shot, like I always try to have take a shots of like my subject either interacting with the environment or the environment around my subject interacting with it. For instance, like at car shows, like I like to have people in my shots, me personally, because like I want to give the experience of being at the car show in my shots. So yeah, I like to get people like looking at the cars, pointing at the cars, walking by the cars, stuff like that. So that's kind of like my shooting style when it comes to like capturing subjects at car shows. Also, I would say like I like to have my subject a little off-centered sometimes. This is mainly in like street photography. So basically with that is really just having like the subject like off to the side a little bit, really to show like the size of like different like objects and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like people in my photos. I don't. I mean, don't get me wrong. When you go to these car shows, it's thousands of people there. So in most cases, you really can't help it. So that's when it comes to car show photography. But I mean, if you're doing other things, for instance, weddings, um, when you're shooting during the ceremony, you're not gonna get a clear shot of that unless it's like certain instances of the ceremony. But when it comes to that, of course, you're gonna have people in it. You want people in that shot because you want to see people at that function, at that celebration. But I want to make my subjects the focal point of that photo. So for me personally, I like to center my subject. So therefore, if I have to crop it, I want there to be enough space in the photo above them and below them and to the sides of them so that it's equal on all sides. But that subject is going to be the focal point. Therefore, when I'm going to edit, if I want to pretty much brighten them up and kind of darken the background, I can do that. And they're going to be the center of the focus point of the photo. So when you look at it, that's what your eyes are going to be on. So that's how I like to compose my shots, is to just make my subject the center point of the photo. And then two, also with framing the subject, that kind of goes into your position. You want to shoot stuff at an angle that you don't naturally see stuff at. And I think we were talking about that, like shooting from an angle that naturally you wouldn't see something from.
Right.
So
yeah, and then that just makes your photos, your videos more interesting, and you'll get a lot more like engagement that way, because like you said, like people don't normally see that angle of like an Aston Martin or a Lamborghini or something like that. As far as like my angles, like I like to shoot like low shooting up, high shooting down. Even with the subject, I like to do that like from a distance so I could get like more of the environment and just have like the subject a little off centered. That way your eyes will just pretty much like focus on the subject. One of the ways that I do that is just keeping the post in mind, because whenever I'm shooting, like if I'm like at an event or just out doing street photography or just doing like car photography, I'm always keeping the post in mind, like Charles was saying earlier, because like the way your editing style, and we'll talk about that later in another episode. Once you develop your editing style, keeping post in mind will definitely help. One of my things that I do is like I like to have like leading lines and edges in my photos, and also I don't necessarily shoot for cropping, but I shoot for like using like a gradient at the bottom of my photos.
mm-hmm.
And I call it like photo drop off, but I guess gradient is like the technical term for it. But yeah.
Yeah, I do the same. Matter of fact, he's the one that actually taught me about the gradient. As he states, the photo drop off, where down at the bottom of your photo, it kind of gradually starts getting a little bit dark. And that again is how you bring focus to your subject. Mm-hmm. Especially if you got a busy background. Busy foreground actually is what the gradient helps, is to tone down that foreground and bring focus to the subject. So that's something that I definitely do as well. Another thing too with composition is shooting portrait style versus landscape. Now there's an argument with that, especially when it comes to Instagram. which is better for engagement per se.
Yeah.
And to me, that honestly, now that I'm seeing, that really doesn't matter. It does limit how much you can show in the photo. And to me, it honestly depends on what you're shooting, that you should either shoot landscape or portrait style. And then also that'll go into what type of camera you got. Because if you have a crop sensor, you're going to show a whole lot less of that photo because it's a smaller sensor. It's not going to get as wide as a picture. So whatever you shoot, if you shoot with a crop sensor camera, that image is going to be right in your face.
Right.
And so then you have to take into account your detail and all that stuff. If you got a full frame or full frame sensor camera, you could shoot landscape mode or landscape style, and it's going to show more of the picture because it's a bigger sensor. It's going to show a bigger picture.
Right.
So that's one of the things. That's one of the main reasons why I shoot a lot of portrait style. Now I have a full frame sensor camera now, so now when I shoot portrait, you see everything. And when I crop it to landscape, I still have a lot because of that sensor. So that's just something you have to think about when you composing your shots. One, knowing what type of camera you got is a big deal. So
yeah, yeah, and then too, like even if you don't have like a full frame, there's other ways around it. Yeah, you might not have like as much of like the image that you want, but you could always do like carousels where you can use both like landscape and portrait photos together. You can do like carousels,
panoramic.
Yeah, panoramic. But that will require like some type of like editing software. At the end of the day, really. So, but stay tuned for that episode. When we touch in, can't talk. When we touch on like editing and stuff like that. But yeah, it's your boy Toke.
All right, it's your boy Charlotte, Exotic Spotter, and thank you for joining us again here on the Black Aperture podcast. Until next time.
Peace out.
All right.